Oh, come on. Yep, we're live. Hello, guys. Welcome back. We're back with another show. We'll just call this Unwrap This. That's what we're going to call it because we're going to unwrap what the college football committee decided to do today. And of course, I have Michael here with me, and I have Garrett here with me. And we had a show on Tuesday, and we let our frustrations out on Tuesday, and we're going to let them out again on Sunday night. Before I get started, I want these two guys to introduce themselves, and then we're going to pay some bills, and we're going to jump right into it.
Alrighty, I guess I'll go first since I'm in the middle, or at least on my screen. My name's Michael Lawson. I'm not for sure if you can see on the Twitter on our page. You can't really see it, but my Twitter handle is MDLawson00. It's Amber's show. Look at us now. Okay, here we go. But MD Lawson00. That's my Twitter. That's my Instagram. That's actually my YouTube, which I'm trying to start up now, and as well as Twitch, but I'm not the Twitcher, if that is even a word. But as far as what I do, I'm on these shows as much as I can as possible. But I actually host a live show every Thursday. It's called Backstop Banter. I have a co-host with Anthony, who likes to be called Connie, so it's so weird to say his name, Anthony. Everybody in the chat calls him Anthony half the time. So me and Connie, every Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern time, close enough. Sometimes I'm at work till about 9:30, but that should be changing here soon. So hopefully 10 o'clock right on the dot from now on Thursday. But Amber, thank you for letting me be on the show.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm Garrett from Iowa, and sorry, a little bit of distraction there, but the joys of pulling a stream together. You can find me on Twitter at Garrett from Iowa and Sportscaster. I do a little bit of my own streaming. I am new to TikTok as of yesterday.
Yes, it's going to consume your life. Let me tell you.
So I actually scrolled through videos for the first time waiting for the link to go up. So other than that, I've just been going on and liking the unwrapped stuff. But I do random streams. And then also I got the People's XFL show with my awesome co-host Midnight Moose every Wednesday night at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. That's the main thing. But you'll find me popping up all over Unwrapped because I don't say no. So
I'm Amber Vickers. You can find me at simplyme_AV. I'm not going to plug all my shows in. You just go to my Twitter. You guys go to my Twitter and you'll see everything I'm a part of. All right. Let's get into it. But first, time to pay bills. All right, teespring.com/store/unwrapped. I spent $70 on there Friday. My bank account thanks me and it loves me. I bought some of the new unwrapped gear we have, the Friends Edition. I bought some Friends Edition stuff. I bought 2 stickers, I think a hoodie, and a sweatshirt. Yes, I am spending money. You should too. If you want to know how to make that money, you can go to mybookie.ag and use the code USN100, and you can double your first deposit. It's up to $1,000, right, fellas? The first deposit?
Yeah, anywhere from $50 to $1,000.
All right, $50 to $1,000. And if you're an outside runner, or if you're just getting older like me and you wake up with sore, achy muscles, we got the CBD cream for you. RxHemp.com. Use the code RxHemp/USN and you get 10% off your order. Whoo, guys.
Good job.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right, guys. Did the committee get it right?
I mean, let's be honest. We're on here immediately because we've seen the ratings. They did exactly what we thought that they would do, or at least myself. I think as we were signing off, I said Clemson, Notre Dame, OSU, and Alabama will somehow, no matter what, be in there. And with the Clemson loss, we would have thought that they would have fell out. With Notre Dame's loss, we thought that they would probably fall off the top 4, especially since it was kind of a beating there. And I honestly, and again, I'm going to be an OSU hater this whole day right here, or at least for this next hour. OSU struggling a little bit against Northwestern. I kind of think that hurt them a little bit, but yet I expected them to fall out, but I knew what the committee would do. If I would have posted my top 4, I don't think I would have had Notre Dame or OSU in it. So I think the committee had a deal on this, but we knew it would happen.
Yeah, I was not very impressed. I think you can't argue with 1 and 2, and they played their way in. I think pretty much everything from 3 through 8 can be argued. I mean, Where's Cincinnati?
Hmm.
They at home.
No, but like, sir, I just pulled up the full 25. Where's Cincinnati?
They're at 8.
On my list, I got them at 6, but I'm looking at a weird website. Maybe
I think they're 8, aren't they? Did they finish 7th or 8th? Because
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
on
I-
NCAA.com.
Oh, you
Holy
was at
cow!
6.
Okay, that's my bad. I got last year's somehow.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Like I was just Alabama and Clemson were 1 and 2, so I just left that list up on my phone.
I mean, that works constantly.
I mean, you could just plug them in, you know. You could just do that.
Yeah, so yeah, sorry, but still, I think Cincinnati got really disrespected. And yeah, and hey, shout out to Trill. He's in the comments. I know he's doing his show right now, so
Yeah.
otherwise he'd probably be here. But yeah, I think Cincinnati got disrespected. I think Notre Dame played their way out with their performance against Clemson. That was not how I expected that game to go, and me and my bank account were both very disappointed in that. But yeah, and Ohio State, I'm sure do we just want to do Ohio State right now?
You can do whatever you want to do. You have free reign. We're gonna do it.
I don't think that they've done enough, and I want to stress this because I was getting a lot of feedback on Twitter arguments about and in the chat.
Mhm.
What were they supposed to do? And nothing. They really, literally, there was nothing else they could do. They won all their games. They got the Big Ten to put them in the championship, but at the end of the day, I still don't think that was enough to earn them a spot. And maybe if they would have had, 2 or 3 score blowout against Indiana and handled Northwestern, we'd be having a different conversation. But they barely beat Indiana, and the Northwestern game, they basically they were losing that game and being handled through 2.5 quarters, almost 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I really felt that even with the win, they had played themselves out of it coming into it. But it's Ohio State, and as I'm sure is going to be said multiple times on this stream, it's a money game, and they don't want to talk about it. And thoughts and prayers to Gary Barta for having to go out and face the press and try to explain how it wasn't a money thing. I mean, God help that man, because I love him in Iowa, but man, I would hate to have that job.
For me, I've looked at it all different angles. I follow a lot of different people on Twitter. I follow a lot of people, OU on Twitter. I have a guy that writes for Cincinnati. I follow him on Twitter. I follow good people on Twitter that give me good information. I love to hear other people's opinions. That's why I love coming on people's shows and getting people to come on my show. I love to hear other people's opinions and other people's arguments. There will always be an argument. Even if we expand the college football playoff, there will be an argument. We all know that this whole thing is a money grab. We're going to say that plenty of times in this show. We talked about this last time. Cincinnati just does not have the money or the backing, and that's why the committee did them the way they did. And it's sad to say, and I don't like it, and I don't like that they punished Coastal Carolina for not putting them in the New Year's Day 6. We'll talk about that a little later. When you have money, it talks. That's why Notre Dame was able to get in the ACC. That's why all their games were on NBC before they got in the ACC. All of them. Money talks, no matter how you slice it. The committee will not say that. The NCAA will not come out and say that. Nobody will come out and say it because these kids are playing for free. Let's just throw that out there. So when you mention money, it's a sensitive subject, and that's to anybody, especially in the times we're living in now. Money is a sensitive subject, and a lot of people are afraid to address that. My question for the committee is, you sat down and they showed them watching all those games, and you sat down and you said, okay, you got two lost teams in the Big 12 playing. We got Cincinnati and Tulsa late on the night. Coastal Carolina had to cancel their game. USC lost the night before, so they got eliminated pretty much. 2 lost. Oregon beat an undefeated USC. But we have to somehow figure out how to put Oregon in the New Year's Day 6. But anyway, we'll talk about that. Bama and Florida was a closer game than I thought it would be. Woo, boy. Bama has some suspect defense, but I mentioned that their defense is their Achilles heel this season. Florida's offense showed up. Texas A&M throttled Tennessee. Notre Dame got manhandled by Clemson, which I did not see that coming. Honestly, I didn't see it coming. The way Ian Book was playing, where the defense was playing, I didn't see Notre Dame getting blown out by Clemson, and it wasn't close. It was disheartening to watch. So, what was the committee thinking when they were watching Notre Dame and Clemson, and when they were watching Tulsa and Cincinnati, and Texas A&M and Tennessee? What were they thinking? Even OU and Iowa State. What was the committee thinking? Also, Ohio State and Northwestern were playing as well. If Trey Sermon doesn't run for 320 yards or 300 some odd yards, I think Ohio State loses that game. What was the committee thinking? How are you thinking about these games? These are big games, big stages. Some players showed up, some teams showed up, and some didn't show up, but they kind of squeaked by, i.e. Ohio State. They squeaked by because they're more talented than Northwestern. So what was the committee thinking?
Go ahead, Garrett. I'll let you handle this one.
I really think, especially looking at the Notre Dame game, and nobody talks about it because it's the ugly side of college football, but there's backdoor talking going on all the time in between the playoff committee and these schools and everything like that. And you saw it. I don't know if you guys are watching the ESPN show. I was in church, and church got done at 11:01, and I had the show running on my phone at 11:02. So, but they had the Notre Dame on-site reporter, and they said the biggest thing that Notre Dame is focusing on is that this was a anomaly. Sorry, I had to look for my word there. It was an anomaly. Like they played better than this all year, and this was just an anomaly of a game. And I think the committee bought that argument, and that Notre Dame's going to show up and play better against Alabama, which they might, but I think that doesn't change the fact that you can't be awarding playoff positions on what you think the teams can do. You got to put it on what they did. And with Notre Dame, they came out, and I mean, if they lost like week 4 and you want to point at it as an anomaly, or even if they lost week 8 and you want to point at it as an anomaly, and then they came in and played tough and lost the conference championship, and you want to point to that one loss as your anomaly, it's like, okay, I can buy that. But when you're playing for the championship game in what should have been, at least in their, I think it should have been all together, but especially in their minds going into that game, you have to be treating that game as a playing game. Mm-hmm. As in, I have to win this to be in the playoff. Mm-hmm. And they showed up and shit the bed. They did not play that like they were playing for their lives. So, and can people please just shut the fuck up about Trevor Lawrence too? I mean, everybody's like, you knew Notre Dame couldn't beat a Clemson team with Trevor Lawrence. You know what the difference between this game and the first game was? It wasn't your damn quarterback. It was that your defense stopped Notre Dame. That was the difference. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had a statistically worse game than DJ, last name I can't pronounce, had playing Notre Dame. So please just get out of here with the Trevor Lawrence talk. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm not saying he didn't have a good game, but he was not the reason you won that game against Notre Dame yesterday. The reason was your defense.
I have a question. Do you think Notre Dame went into their game knowing if they lost or not, whether they win or lose, they were going to make it in? Do you think they went into their game thinking that? I mean, I know people are going to bite my heads off. Oh, these kids play no matter what. I get that. But I'm just saying, do you think they went into the game and said, okay, whether we win or lose, we know we're probably going to be in the college football playoff. They put us in the ACC for a reason. You think they went in knowing that, or thinking that at least?
I think everybody went in knowing that if Notre Dame loses, they're still in it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think they should have been, but I mean, like we said, we knew the committee. Well, I said last week or Tuesday that I thought even if Notre Dame loses, they're in it. So I mean, I don't think it's too big of a shock, really, that it's what it is. Now, as you get on down through there, it's a little more shocking how they did things. I don't like it, but yeah, I think Notre Dame definitely went in there somewhat thinking, hey, we'll probably face them again. Maybe we need to not show some things. Now, I'm not saying they went in there trying to disguise things and not play their best, but at the same time, I mean, do they not do certain plays because it could cost them next week when it's on playoffs? I don't know, but I mean, I still think they gave it 100% to try to win the game. But as far as schemes, defenses, it could have been something different on there, and just like, hey, let's work on a couple things because we know we've got next week or the playoffs as well. I don't want to. I'm going to basically rant, or not rant, but babble a little bit without really answering that question, because as far as the kids, they're going to give it everything they got. I think it'd be more of a coach's decision on that. Okay, kids, yes, we'll probably have next week in playoffs no matter what. Play your hardest. We're going to try to go undefeated, but at the second, or in the back of the minds, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering here, is the coaches may be like, okay, let's keep some of these playbooks or pages in our playbook hidden just for this week. Not only that, we're going to be playoffs. We may not be facing Clemson, but we don't want to reveal our annexation of Puerto Rico from the Little Giants play here or something like that. So I think it's a catch. Well, I won't say catch 22, but a both hindsight and all that stuff there.
Yeah, I don't know, because the Iowa State game was early, and I think Iowa State was the biggest threat to take that fourth spot in the committee's eyes before I get murdered on Twitter for it, because everybody acts like I'm crazy when I talk about Iowa State being a playoff team if they would have won that game. But I want to clarify, in the committee's eyes, I think Iowa State was the biggest threat to take that fourth spot. So with them being out, possibly, I really think that would be more of an explanation for the Alabama game, though, because Bama was in.
Yeah,
I mean, they could have ran their second string out there and lost by 10, and they would have been in the playoff. There was no way Bama wasn't getting it. So as far as Notre Dame goes, I would certainly hope not, because I'm a fairly pessimistic guy, and I really think, especially with the way the rankings shaped up, it's definitely rigged by some backdoor politicking, but I would really hope that Notre Dame did not feel comfortable that they could lose and still get in going into this game. I would hope that the scheming and the politicking was not to that level.
You know what? And we talked about this with Cincinnati. They just kept dropping Cincinnati and punishing Cincinnati for what exactly? We will never know. Punish Cincinnati and reward Ohio State. Punish Coastal for not being able to play. Reward Notre Dame for going out there and getting their butts kicked because they still made the college football playoff. Now the reward is you get to play Alabama, who showed some suspect defense against Florida. Florida has a very good offense. So, and then their defense played okay. I thought it would be a blowout, but ended up being a one-score game. So when you look at the committee and you say, okay, guys, what are you looking at? Like, what are you taking into consideration? You know, the BCS formula had its own, the computer was doing its thing with the BCS. So if you put the BCS formula in, didn't they say they used the BCS formula, a little bit of it to kind of determine the top four? Didn't they admit that?
They used whatever they wanted to.
I think
we
I
used
have
a little PCS calculation. Okay. We used a little. Let's see here. What else could we use? Some scientific methods. We used kindergarten classes to get our accounting. They used whatever they wanted to get this to go the way it did. Let's just be honest.
Well, and to Amber's point, I'm pretty sure that when they first started the playoff committee, the whole argument was that you don't have the human input on it, which they felt was necessary, but they were still going to use the BCS ranking system as part of the input. So I liked your answer, Michael, but I really did. But in all seriousness, to answer the question, I do believe, yes, the BCS rankings do play into the committee's decision.
Okay. And I asked that because if you plug all these schedules into computer, right, and then you got, top 25 wins, SOS, strength of schedule for you guys that don't know, that are listening or watching. Top
that's
25.
Also for Ohio State, SOS, do whatever you can to get us in it. I'm sorry, just keep on going.
Send out the emergency signal. We need help.
It used to be strength of conference too. Like they used to do strength of conference. I don't think they do that anymore. But I think the pandemic has it shifted how they looked at things. You could just tell Ohio State got in and they struggled against Northwestern. So with that being said, did Notre Dame have a game canceled this season?
No.
Okay. Bama didn't have a game canceled this season either, right?
No, they did not.
No.
Okay. Clemson have a game canceled this season?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Ohio State is that one sore thumb that kind of just wiggles and sticks out. Out of all those teams, they've played at least 9 games. Well, actually 10 or 11 games. Actually, they played at least 11 games. And Ohio State's that sore thumb because the Big Ten wanted to start later. Even the Pac-12 started later. And Ohio State fans' argument is, this isn't our fault. We did not choose to play later. Our commissioner chose to play later because, they went out. I think Justin Fields wrote a letter talking about we want to play and blah, blah, blah. So they're looking at it from that perspective. This is beyond our control. And we can't control how many games we play because we're going by Big Ten rules and regulations. Now, when you flip those Big Ten rules and regulations right before the Big Ten championship, that's where the gripe comes in from outsiders. That's where Coastal Carolina comes in. That's where Cincinnati comes in because you punish them because they didn't play against Tulsa. Remember, they were supposed to play against Tulsa that week and then come back and play against them for the championship, if I'm not mistaken, because that game got canceled. So why not punish Ohio State like you punished Coastal Carolina and Cincinnati? Why not punish them too? Because eventually that's what you did. Essentially, you punished those 2 teams. Now, A&M not even winning the SEC West, getting beat by the SEC West champ and the SEC champ by 25, 30 points, and then running the table. Jimbo made his argument about why they should be in. So everybody has a different argument about why they should be in. But from your perspective, who has the best argument outside of Clemson and Bama? Who has the best argument for a 3-4 spot? For 3-4 spot?
I would give it to Cincinnati.
Okay.
And then probably Oklahoma. As much as I don't think, and it's so hard too, because one of the arguments I got in online was like, well, who's going to play Alabama the hardest? I'm like, does it freaking matter? Whoever you put in that 4 spot's going to get curb stomped. Yeah. So that should, and again, you're going into what will happen, not what has happened. And I really think, anybody, I welcome anybody, just drop off the Ohio State prestige thing, drop off the preseason deal. Somebody explained to me how Ohio State's resume with playing 4 teams under 500 and barely beating the other 2 teams in the top 25 is better than Cincinnati's at 9-0, 2 wins over a top 25 programs and a conference championship. Somebody tell me how that's a better Ohio State's resume is better than Cincinnati's.
It's not.
I realize I'm not going to get any argument from this group. This was more
not from us.
Yeah, a challenge to Twitter at large. But somebody explained to me how Ohio State has a better resume. And yes, I understand Ohio State is a better program, and they have a better team on paper, and they have a better recruiting class, and all that. Fields was on the Heisman watch. I sure as hell hope he ain't anymore. You throw 2 picks against Northwestern and win 22-10. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's not there anymore. He shouldn't be, at least.
Yeah, it's just Ohio State did not play well enough this year to really even be in the discussion. And I realize that was due to circumstances outside of their control, but you can't. You're rewarding them, and same argument. I asked people, well, if Iowa had Ohio State's record, is Iowa going to be in the playoff discussion?
No,
they aren't, because they're going to point out the same things. They're going to point out strength of schedule, quality of opponents they beat, the closeness of the games, and say Iowa is not, because they aren't Ohio State, and that shouldn't matter.
Now I have a question.
It shouldn't. Go ahead.
Okay, I have this question. It might be on an opinion that you have, Michael.
Okay.
Let's say, what was USC? How many games did USC play? 5, 6?
They would have been 6-0 if they would have won the championship. If they would have beat Oregon.
Okay, so they beat Oregon, and Ohio State played how many games before the championship game?
If if USC would have beat Oregon, they would have had the same record as Ohio State.
Okay. So would the committee consider putting in USC because they were 6-0?
I would say they wouldn't have because of strength of conference, but they saved themselves an extra headache when Oregon won that game. Shout out Oregon for making my bank account happy. I called that one. But yeah, and the other thing with USC, I mean, it would have been a little bit of a headache for the committee, but they won 3 games in the last minute against teams that shouldn't have been, if they were going to be a playoff caliber team, they shouldn't have been in a game with. So I really think that the committee would have pointed to that, even if they had won. The fact that they barely beat Arizona, they barely beat Arizona State, they barely beat UCLA, but comes back to strength of conference too. I don't care. Michael will disagree with this a little bit, but Big Ten and SEC are 1A and 1B in the country. 1A and 1B in the country. But so anybody that comes out of that, either of those two conferences, conference championship in a normal year, should be guaranteed a spot in the playoff. Not this year because it was not a normal year, but in a normal year, Big Ten champion and SEC champion should have spots in the playoffs because they have the two toughest conferences in the country.
Unless they're a 2-loss team, which would be crazy to happen. But that's my only thing. Unless they're a 2-loss team, which Alabama a couple years ago was a 2-loss team that made it to the playoffs. That's why I say, I mean, there's still those Alabamas and OSU. Now, I just want to ask a quick question.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you the teams, okay? But I'm going to tell you some stats on them. There is a team that went undefeated. I'm not going to say how many games they played, but they went undefeated. Okay. Their offense was ranked 19th. Their defense was ranked 13th. Okay, there's another team that was undefeated. Their offense is ranked 6th. Their defense is ranked 34th. And my last team, undefeated, offense is 26, defense is 26. What team do you think deserves to be in a Final Four? I'll read them again real quick.
No,
19, 13, 6, 34, or 26, 26.
Judging just off those stats without knowing strength of schedule or anything like that, you would say probably the 19-13 team because they are the most balanced team. And that was something I heard repeated multiple times on the ESPN show leading up to the rankings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that they look for balanced teams. They look for teams that can perform on both sides of the ball. They look for teams that are going to be competitive.
Well, that would be Cincinnati.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that's who it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I knew it.
I mean, so going by that alone, I don't care what their strength of schedule is. I mean, you're ranking this team offensively to be 19th in the nation. You're ranking their defense to be 13th. That alone should have you higher up on the scale or on the rankings, especially that you're undefeated. I don't care who you played or not because you're not putting in consideration on, okay, they played the school of I don't care what, of the Misfits, and they only beat them by 10 points. You're not going to give that offense that high of a ranking. You rank this offense at a 19 and their defense at a 13. That's pretty good, whoever they're playing. Now, you have in the 4th spot, or the ranked 4th, Ohio State with a defense at 34.
That's a 3rd spot, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3rd spot. You're right, 3rd spot. So we have a 6th ranked offense and a 34 ranked defense at the number 3 spot, when we have 2 other teams that are better in both positions on a balanced field way back. The other team was Coastal Carolina, just so you know.
Yeah.
26-26. So, I mean, you can't tell me at the end of the day that this is not just OSU is why you're there.
Yeah, no, they're in there because it's the Ohio State University, and Daddy Warren secured them a playoff spot.
Yeah. The wrong Ohio team
play on the field.
The wrong Ohio team is in the playoff.
I like that analogy. Now, when they take that into consideration, because OU's been getting into the playoffs, they got into the playoffs 4 times, and their defense was putrid. Let's just call it what it is. Bama's defense do you think Bama's defense is in the top 20, or do you think Florida's offense was just that good, or do you think they didn't play against offenses in the SEC West that can put up points like Florida's offense could in the SEC East?
Well, actually, I wrote down.
Oh, look at you! You came prepared. Look at you. I mean,
Bama's defense.
they're undefeated. They were going to be there, but I'm just want to ask that question.
Their defense on ESPN is ranked 33rd. So they're actually better than Ohio State on paper. What they're ranking them.
Okay.
So, but their offense is 5th. So you got Bama and OSU right there, 5 and 33 and 6 and 34. So
wow.
it is what it is.
Okay.
Now, in my opinion, with the offense that we've seen from Ohio State this Saturday, I think their offense should be dropping out of the top 10. That's me personally, throwing the picks that they did and just what they did. Here's something else I thought was funny that I just happened to look it up. Oklahoma University, or OU, it is OU, right? OU?
Yeah, University of Oklahoma. Yeah, you're good.
So it's UO, University of Oklahoma?
It's University of Oklahoma, but the initials are OU. Don't ask. Don't ask.
That's another show. Okay, so Oklahoma was ranked 10th. They played Iowa State, ranked 8th. Oklahoma wins. They move up 1 spot. Iowa State drops to 12 from 8th, so they drop like 4 spots. OSU was ranked 4th. Of course, we figured they'd move up since.
I think you got your numbers wrong there. Isn't Oklahoma at 6 and Iowa State at 10?
I might be in the coach's poll.
Iowa State was at 6 and Oklahoma was at 10 when they played.
Yeah, and when Oklahoma won, they just flipped them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Well, they dropped. Anyways, let me go up here. I'm still on the wrong one. They dropped 4 spots. I got my numbers wrong, but they did drop 4 spots. Northwestern loses, and they don't drop at all. They stay the same. And again, we talked about this last week, how maybe Northwestern is ranked so high to kind of give Ohio State a little bit more love there. In the AP poll, they didn't move, but in the coaches poll, Northwestern actually went up a spot. How do you lose and gain a spot? They went from 14 to 13.
Because you played a hell of a game against Ohio State, who is one of the top 4 teams in the country.
Well,
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm just explaining the logic they used. I'm not saying I agree with it. So please don't take my head off, because I have stated multiple times already on this stream alone that Ohio State should not be in the top 4. That's the logic behind it.
But theoretically, seeing the stats, you would think, I don't care who or how well you play. If you lose, you're going to drop at least 1 spot. You just may not drop that far. I mean, Notre Dame dropped 2 spots. And they lost to the, 2nd or 3rd place team? So you have the 4th place team beat one team and they gain a spot. I mean, I know they're saying that they played well against them, but still, I feel like they should at least move down at least 1 spot.
But if you move them down 1 spot, then you put them behind Iowa, who they beat head-to-head. Now, I would argue that the Iowa team that showed up the last 6 games of the season would now beat Northwestern in a head-to-head, because they played horribly against Northwestern.
Right.
But the fact is that they have the head-to-head advantage, so you can't really put Iowa ahead of them.
I think you can. It depends on what week it was. Do you know what week it was? Because that's your conference.
The week that they lost to Northwestern?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, week 2.
Oh.
So, I mean, to me, that's that far back. I think you can put ahead of them if they deserve it. Just because they won 2 weeks in, then why not? Because even last year in basketball, which Kentucky is all about basketball, I think at one point we'd beat Florida, but Florida came on at the end of the year, and they were actually ranked ahead of us in the SEC because they had the same record, but they had a stronger strength of wins. But yet we had the head-to-head, but they were ahead of us at the time. And I thought that was odd. Hey, we beat them, but they're ahead of us. Long story short, week 2, I don't think it should make that big of a difference. If the better team's better, put them ahead of them.
Well, and I think if they were looking at 7-1 versus 6-2, I would make the jump even without the head-to-head. But they're both 6-2, and Northwestern won the head-to-head, so I can't really argue too much with Northwestern being ranked ahead of them, because it comes back to like the whole thing that irritates me about people talking about what should be and what will be. I could sit here and I am very, very confident that if Iowa played Northwestern in a bowl game, Iowa would beat them now, just because they've improved that much since week 2. But I'm not going to argue that they should be ranked ahead of them based on the fact that I think they'll beat them, that they could beat them now, because we lost the head-to-head. And you got to do your rankings based on what happened, not what you think will happen.
Right. Well, that's like Northwestern doesn't even have their offense ranked in the top 25. So just throwing that out there too, OSU. Thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and and as far as Bama's defense goes, I would be, and I didn't get a chance to watch the Alabama game. I did family Christmas this weekend, so I was catching football when and where I could, as much as I could, in between family activities. But just judging by how it went, I mean, did Alabama play a more conservative defense because they knew they were in?
I didn't get to watch it myself. I was at work.
I got to watch the whole game. No, I just think Florida played I just honestly think Florida played very well.
Okay.
And their offense, it was humming. Florida's offense was humming. Of course, you had the Kyle to Kyle connection. Tony went dumb. I think he had 160 yards receiving or something like that. So Trask versus Jones. You had Najee Harris. You had Devontae Smith. I mean, it was star power. It was a lot of star power. There were a lot of points being scored. Let me tell you, it was like watching the Big 12. I'm used to that. You know what I mean? Right. I said this on the stream. Remember, I said, Florida, welcome to the Big 12. You can score a lot of points, but you can't stop anybody. So they got a dose. The committee got a dose of what they expected to see in the Big 12 championship. I don't think they expected to see Florida put up 40 some odd points and Bama put up 50. I don't think they expected that. If you would have asked anybody out of which two games would put up 50 and 40, they probably would say Iowa State and OU would put up 50 and 40 versus Bama and Florida putting up 50 and 40. Because it just, SEC, that's unheard of in the SEC. Oh, we play defense and blah, blah. Okay, whatever.
Whoa.
I do play defense, but I'm just saying, like.
I'm just messing with you. Keep going.
Y'all play defense. I'm not saying y'all don't play defense. Y'all play defense, but I'm just saying, like, people in the SEC, they have strong feelings about that defense word. That is a very touchy topic for them. So I kind of, and then we don't know defense in the Big 12, apparently. So that's why I said what I said. But that Florida and Alabama game really surprised me, guys, because I didn't think it would be a shootout. Like I said before, I thought that Bama's defense would get at least, 4 or 5 stops in a row. But Trask was humming, man. He was humming. I mean, he threw some, had some picks. Let me look at his stats. But he played very well against that Bama defense, and he exposed that Bama defense. And I think that's important because you're going to go back and watch that film that Florida did, if you're Notre Dame, if you're smart, and say, okay, how can we simulate this? How can we do what Florida did? Notre Dame's defense is better than Florida's, right?
Notre Dame is ranked 21st. Florida wasn't even on the top 25.
Okay, bingo. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Trask had 3 touchdowns, 408 yards, 26 and 40. No interceptions.
Okay, Mac Jones to the pick. I'm sorry, Mac Jones to the pick.
Ooh.
Yeah, Najee Harris ran for 178. Devontae Smith had 184, and then Tony had 153. So I knew I was on the cusp there. But it was a shootout, and Florida exposed Bama. Bama exposed Florida for we already knew what they were on defense. And if you can watch that film, if Ian Book can sit down with his offensive team and watch that film of what Florida was able to do to Bama, maybe you can simulate that because your defense is better than Florida's, right? It's a copycat league. You know what I mean? I say that all the time in the NBA and NFL. It's copycat. So you sit down and you watch that film in that game and you say, okay, how can we do what Florida did? Our defense is better. How can we do what Florida did? Because they might not be expecting Notre Dame to do or simulate what Florida did. They don't have they got the tight ends to do it in Notre Dame. They don't necessarily have a speed burner like Tony on the outside. The running backs are solid at Notre Dame, and Florida really didn't run the ball that much.
No, they only ran it let's see here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 times. Well, 15 for Trask, but that was an average of 0 yards. So I would say those were the 5 sacks there.
And Book can run. So they need to incorporate whatever Florida did, they need to incorporate that. If they just try to do what they normally do, they're going to get blown out the water. You need to watch film. You need to see what Florida did to exploit their defense, and you need to do that.
See here.
Definitely. Real quick before we get into the games that are going on, but you look at the final rankings, you got number 6 Oklahoma at 8-2, number 7 Florida at 8-3, and then number 8 Cincinnati at 9-0 with a conference championship. Now, if you're the group of 5 schools, and you look at this, I mean, because let's be honest here, if the Big Ten had played a full schedule, most likely Cincinnati would not even be in the top 10, would not be in this discussion if this were a normal year. But it wasn't.
No love.
I think 9-0 or 10-0 Cincinnati, looking at 10-0 Ohio State, and with probably the way the West shook out, a 1 or 2 loss team being co-champ, being the runner-up out of the West. This is all hypothetical, but
let's be honest. Ohio State just won 6 games, and they beat the 10 games.
But in a normal year, and you're also looking at probably a stronger team coming out of the Pac-12 also, because they played a short season as well. But if you look at this and you're the group of 5, I mean, this year was your shot. This year you had 2 teams that did everything they could, and they did not have the teams in front of them, and the committee still disrespected you and didn't even put you in the top 6. Do you want out? Because, I mean, in all honesty, if this isn't the year that they get in, you got to seriously consider the fact that they're never going to get into a 14 playoff.
If your 9 games doesn't hold any more value than someone's 6 games, then if you want to ever be a national title in college football, you got to be out of whatever division you're in. I mean, and I'm just looking here, of course, I've been adamant about an 8-team playoff this year. And I think Bama Cincinnati would be great for the city of Cincinnati, just to say, hey, we want to compete. We're showing that we can compete. And that offense, I mean, the passing games, they kind of got a couple of young wide receivers. It could be interesting. I'm not saying they have a chance, but it could be interesting after seeing what Florida did. But then I think a Florida-Clemson matchup at the 2 and 7 seed, I think that would be really interesting after seeing what they did with Alabama. Then you would have Oklahoma and OSU. That's the game I want to see. That Oklahoma offense against that defense of Ohio shouldn't be there. State, I'm sorry, whatever that was. And then Texas A&M and Notre Dame, I think that'd be a good matchup too. So I actually think 1 through 8 would be fun football to watch too this year. Granted, I don't think Cincinnati does have a chance, but it would be fun. If you really want to say that you should have been in the top 4, that would be your time and your game to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, if Cincinnati goes in there and loses by less than 2 scores, I think they've established the fact that they deserve to be in the top 4.
They deserve to be in the SEC. Because even Texas A&M couldn't do that. So
yeah, and I don't understand how the conferences are aligned. How does West Virginia get into the Big 12? That doesn't make any sense to me. But that's neither here nor there. You guys want to?
Kind of what I was getting at. Do you take the group of 5 and set up your own division, for lack of a better word, and have your own champion every year? Is that a discussion that the group of 5 is having? Because if Cincinnati isn't in the top 4 this year, there's never going to be a group of 5 team in the top 4, because you can't have a better season than Cincinnati with the room above you that they did this year.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought much about it, but if you go 9-0, and you're only getting to top 8 in this conference or in the rankings when you have a 3-loss team, a 2-loss team, and 2 or 3 1-loss teams ahead of you. Yeah, I mean, you've got to do something. I'd get out of it. That's just me personally. I can say that enough. I don't think I'd try to move to a different conference. But what conference do you move to?
Well, why doesn't the group of 5 just set up their own championship?
What group of 5 are you talking about? So I can understand on that.
Well, you got the 5 power conferences, and then the group of 5: the Sun Belt, the MAC, the Mountain West.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so you're saying like the top 5s out of those make their own conference. Okay.
Make their own deal, have their own championship, because I think it's been made clearly obvious this year that if you aren't a Power 5 conference team, they aren't going to put you in the playoff as long as it's a 4-team playoff.
I would say no to that, because if they're the top now in their conference, even if they're in a conference of 5, they're just going to be where they're at still unless they're in these top Power 5s.
But you could get a championship game. Have your own 4-team playoff, have your own championship game, get some more TV money.
Oh, you're just saying totally go away from
separate themselves.
Yeah,
just
say,
separate.
Just have the group of 5, just do their own 4-team playoff and crown their own champion.
Do you think they will have a problem with that because they want to be included with the Power 5?
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Why would you want to after this year?
They don't want to be treated like the stepchild, I guess you can say.
Yeah, because it's like I said, I think it's perfectly obvious that the committee is not going to put a non-Power 5 school into the playoff.
Well, my son, he's 4 years old, and when he becomes a senior in high school, he's going to be a 5-star recruit running Doyle rules. I'm going with some Adam Sandler here. But a dual quarterback, he can run a 4.1 40, and he can throw the ball 90 yards, both hands, doesn't matter. So with this 5 conference that are in there, with the playoffs, Daddy kind of feels like that's almost like a D2 school, more or less. It's the less of the 2, or the less of the conference is how I think recruits would think of that. Hey, you could go to Alabama because you're the top guy, or you can go to Cincinnati, who has their own conference. You can be the championship in there, but you're not the champion in the top 5 or the Power 5 there. I feel like no matter what they do, that's going to kind of hinder that. I think back in the early 2000s and the 90s when Hawaii was so good and Boise State was so good, if they would have been a championship in any kind of division other than the main one, I feel like, well, it's the lesser of the teams, That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, well, but nobody's going to go to Cincinnati if they have a Bama offer right now.
Right.
But if you got an offer from Bama where you're going to be the 5th 5-star wide receiver of their class, or you can go to Cincinnati and be the number 1 5-star receiver in the class and have the chance to play for a national title on national TV.
Hold up.
Where do you go?
I just got a Sports Center. It just said the Jets have won their first game of the season and no longer hold the number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
The Jags have it now. The Jags have it now.
Really?
Congratulations to Adam Case. You're such a terrible coach. You can't even fucking tank right.
Anyway.
Yeah, but you have to think about it like that, because I'll say this. For University of Oklahoma, if you get hurt or any kind of way, you lose your spot like that. Trey Sermon got hurt last year. Now, he didn't know Kennedy Brooks was going to opt out because it was a Kennedy Brooks, Ramondre Stevenson, and Trey Sermon backfield. That's a crowded backfield. Ramondre Stevenson was the number 1 running back, JUCO running back in the country when he transferred to the University of Oklahoma. Trey Sermon gets hurt last year, and he has to grad transfer to Ohio State. And he was still kind of playing the backup, kind of not the backup to Master Teague. He runs for 300 yards. People are like, who's this Trey Sermon guy? He was doing that at OU. But guess what? When you get injured, you go to one of those big schools and you get injured, you're down the totem pole. Tanner Mordecai, he's transferring because we just got Caleb Williams, the number 1 quarterback in the nation. We just got him to commit or sign his national letter of intent. So he's transferring. He was a 4-star recruit, quarterback wise. How do your recruiting is so important. That's what Gary's saying. It's so important. Do I want to be the 5th guy on Bama's roster, or do I want to be that guy at Cincinnati?
Well, and not even necessarily the 5th guy. Do you want to be the 5th guy in line of your class? Like that's the level of recruiting you're looking at, like Bama and Clemson and Ohio State and Oklahoma and even Iowa State to an extent, the more mid-level schools of the Power 5. But even to a point, you're looking at it there. I mean, especially Alabama. I mean, Saban's got what, 15 5-star wide receivers on his team right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Probably so.
and you get to your senior year and you came into that class number 5, and you get to your senior year, you're still number 5. You're going to be a 5-star recruit that didn't see any playing time other than garbage time.
Or you could be like Josh Jacobs and have a good run. Shout out to Tulsa. Shout out to Josh Jacobs. Have a good run your senior year. And you didn't see the field at all.
Mhm.
And then he was recruited by Oklahoma and he torched us in the college football. Oh my goodness. He was angry. So yeah, you can beat him, but there's not very many Josh Jacobs in the world. It's just not.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If the group of 5 conferences did their own playoff and their own national title game, then I think a lot, they aren't going to get the top guys. They aren't going to get that number 1 5-star receiver or the number 1 5-star quarterback. But you get down to the like 5 through 15 numbers where or even, the top 50 at any given position, where you can go and be the 5th guy at Bama, or you can go and be the guy at Cincinnati, and you're still going to have your chance to get on that national stage and show what you can do. I think it might help them as opposed to hurt them as far as recruiting goes, because you aren't getting a 5-star receiver coming to Cincinnati right now because he's going to play in the national championship.
Well, I think these teams like Cincinnati, which in the AP poll had them at number 6, just so everyone knows on that. Kudos to them. I think the transfer portal is what's really going to help these guys out there, because like the Bamas that have the 15 wide receivers right now, after they get there and learn from them, I'm here to play, not sit on the bench. Now let's go here. Like Kentucky, we've had 2 quarterbacks transfer, JUCO transfers in the past probably 4 years, and become starters. Like even Terry Wilson was a transfer. Now Gatewood from, I want to say, Florida State transferred. So a lot of these teams, they're getting to where they think they're going to shine at, and they have to wait, and they don't like that. That's even, I want to say, Damian Harris that played for Bama. He's actually from Kentucky, right outside of Lexington. He was thinking about going to either Michigan, Kentucky, or Bama. Of course he's not coming here, but he had to wait a couple of years. I think he didn't start until his junior or senior year at Bama, and now look what he's doing for of course he was out this week, but I mean he's playing for the Patriots, who just got eliminated from the playoffs. But still, if he could have came to Kentucky, his hometown, and shined for 4 years, that would have been great for us. But still, at the end of the day, I think a lot of players, if they can go to these big Power 5s, they're going to go. Just for the one, from just being under the coaching staff that they have, and 2, just for the publicity that they get as well. And I just don't think another conference, another tournament of any kind of playoff form, I don't think they get the publicity that they could even playing for Bama. Now, it would be nice, it would be interesting, but I don't think it will end up working out, because surely to goodness, after however many years we've had this, if it would have worked out, they probably would have already tried it.
Well, I think before this year, I think it was just kind of, you would look at it and like, again, saying like if this was a normal year, you'd be looking at Cincinnati, call it 12-0 because they played a full season.
Right.
And you'd be looking, and then you'd be looking at Ohio, and I'm making some assumptions here, but you'd be looking at the playoff rankings, and you'd be like, yeah, man, I mean, we had a really good year. We're 12-0, but you got Ohio State at 12-0. You got Wisconsin at 11-1. You got Oregon coming in at 11-1. You got USC at 11-1. You got, SEC. You got Bama undefeated. You got A&M with 1 loss. You got Florida with 1 loss.
Mm-hmm.
You got Clemson and Notre Dame coming out of the ACC with one of them undefeated, one of them with 1 loss. And you'd be like, yeah, I mean, we aren't going to get into that playoff ranking.
Right.
And you just move on with your life because that makes sense. But looking at it this year, I think it's I think the committee has made it obvious that part of the resume to be in the playoff has to be, you have to be in a Power 5 conference.
I agree.
They haven't been in a position where it's been that blatantly obvious before.
What I would like to see, if they really want to make noise and get out there to, hey, we mean business on this, I think they force the committee's hand, or the college, whatever you want to call them, hand, and just say, if we're not in the playoffs, we're not going to a bowl. And if you don't go to a bowl, I mean, that's a lot of money that these companies and everything are putting out there for advertising and everything like that. And then I think that they have to go to a 18 playoff bowl and just move it out that way. But to me, because really, my opinion, and I think everyone here, Cincinnati belongs at that 4th spot. So if they just say, I'm not playing, Oklahoma, who is another team that could have taken that 4th spot, or we'll say 3 because Notre Dame should have been the 3 if anything. Or we'll just say this, Ohio State spot, even Texas A&M could have had at least an argument of being at that spot, more deserving than that if they all just said, you know what, we're just not going to play any bowls if we don't get what we're supposed to get. And then you got Chick-fil-A Bowl and all this stuff, the Peach Bowl, and saying, hey, if we're not going to have anybody on our team, we want to, or in our bowls, let's just move it to where it's an 8-team playoff, and we can actually have our bowls, make our money, give you our money, and see what goes from there so we can have them participate. Because they want to be in the playoffs. They want to be able to say, we deserve to be here. So Cincinnati, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, even Coastal Carolina, you all just say, we're not going to play. We're not going to do a bowl, and you're welcome.
Good luck with that money-wise. Now that's
That's
a segue to the New Year's Day 6. Do you guys have the New Year's Day 6 pulled up?
I do not.
Okay,
but I can.
All right. Let's go ahead and do that. Gentlemen.
I have to start drafting, so computer research is going to be on YouTube going forward.
Okay, cool. That's fine. That's fine. Well,
are you in the NBA draft too, Garrett?
Yeah. I have a limited number of screens I can run. So,
what pick do you have?
I'm in the 10th spot.
Oh, I'm in 4th spot. Amber, you're the NBA guru. You're going to have to tell me who I need to pick.
Oh, goodness. I'm doing a dual show. All right. We can get that going.
Yeah.
We can get that going.
Well, I'll still be here for input, but you're going to have to look the stuff up.
Okay. I got it already pulled up. All right. I'm already ahead of you. All right. Let's look at these bowls. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, number 6, Oklahoma, number 7, Florida. That's going to be a good one. That's going to be a doozy. And I knew Oklahoma would probably get the Cotton Bowl if they won the Big 12. That's where I kind of projected them to go because Cotton Bowl, Dallas, Norman, not too far. I did not think that Florida would be there, though. Do they do it? Does the SEC? Yes, they do because Texas A&M, they predicted. Okay, whatever. All right. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. We got number 8, Cincinnati. We're going to see how good you are against JT Daniels and number 9, Georgia. That is on January 1st. PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, number 25, Oregon, and this was laughable. And number 10, Iowa State. That is January 2nd.
Iowa State who?
In freaking Oregon.
What?
Go ahead, Garrett.
That's so bad my pen quit working.
I don't hate that just because I think Oregon is a much better team than their record shows. And I think, like, with bowl games, there's a lot more that goes into it than just the records and who is the most deserving. Because Iowa constantly is playing above their seed just because they have the following and their fans will travel. And that goes into these bowl game decisions. And it's the same thing with Oregon. You got national name recognition. You can make the argument that their talent level is better than their record. And I think Iowa State, Oregon is going to be a matchup that's going to have really good ratings because, Oregon's a national name and Iowa, as much as I treat Iowa State as the redhead stepchild of Iowa colleges, the Iowa State fans are just as crazy as us Iowa fans, and they will travel and they will watch the game. And there will be people, if there are no fans in the stands, there will be people there tailgating even though they can't get to the game. That's it. That's how it will work.
Okay, we got the Capital One Orange Bowl. We got Texas A&M versus North Carolina. I think they gave North Carolina that spot because they beat Miami head-to-head. I thought Miami would be in this bowl if they would have beat North Carolina head-to-head. They already canceled 4 or 5 bowl games, but I just want to talk about the New Year's Day 6. We'll do honorable mentions. So
first, I got to ask you this, Amber. Do I go Doncic, Harden, Towns, Lillard, or LeBron James, or Kevin Durant?
Oh my!
Who do I pick?
I think you go the safe pick and you pick LeBron. He's the safe pick.
On a team, yes, but I feel like as far as fantasy, that he will actually have a bunch of days off.
Oh, go Luka then. Luka's a pretty good safe bet.
Okay, that's who I went. Thank you.
Damn it, Amber. I want Luka to get to me.
Okay. Hey, listen,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank
It's
you,
all,
thank you.
it's all good. It's all. I love you both. You know what I mean? It's all good.
Just remember, I love you more.
Okay. We got the Boca Raton Bowl. That's BYU and UCF. I'm gonna do some honorable mentions here. And then we got Coastal Carolina's playing in the FBC Mortgage Cure Bowl. They're playing against Liberty. Oklahoma State's playing Miami in the Cheez-It Bowl.
You gotta love these bowls.
Oh,
The Verbo Citrus Bowl is Northwestern and Auburn. How did Auburn get to that?
Because it's
Okay.
Northwestern. I mean, they're not really that good. They just got them ranked that high for OSU.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting to
Well,
okay.
and I don't think I think it goes back to fan following too. I don't think Northwestern has the fans that a lot of these other programs do.
Okay. We got Iowa and Missouri for the Music City Bowl.
Let's go, Iowa. Give me Missouri all damn day.
Yeah, I think Kentucky beat them in football.
We got the Outback Bowl. We got Indiana at Ole Miss. Indiana at Ole Miss? Didn't Ole Miss lose like 4 games? 5?
I think the Outback Bowl is a SEC bowl as well because Kentucky
Yeah.
usually plays in it. So I guess
Yeah.
that's elimination there.
That's what they kind of did. We got Tennessee at West Virginia for the Liberty Bowl.
Oh, that's going to be a slaughter.
Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. We got Tulsa at Mississippi State. So that's some notable teams that are in these bowls. Now, the New Year's Day 6 is what we really love to discuss. Now, we're talking about rankings, right? We're talking about rankings. And, you know, I had a little gripe at OU at 6. And, you know, it doesn't really, outside the top 4, it doesn't really matter anymore because they're going to place you in a bowl where your fans travel and what your conference, the money in your conference allows. That's what I'll say because they get bowl gifts and stuff like that. I know more than I'm supposed to know, guys. Don't deem me for it. That's what happens when you have friends that play football. So we're looking at this Cotton Bowl, Oklahoma and Florida. It should be a shootout. It should be a shootout. We got Trask versus Rattler. It will be a shootout in my opinion. Very interesting to watch. I want to see if that Florida defense can stop OU's offense. I want to see if OU's defense can stop that Florida offense. We got a Big 12 and an SEC school, right? Both
Yes.
actually Florida.
Who do you think is going to win?
You know, I'm not going to bet against Oklahoma. I'd be dumb to do that. And defense is playing
I didn't
better.
ask bet. Who do you think is going to win?
Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to win by less than a score.
Okay.
Probably less than a score. I think their defense is better. Their defensive line is going crazy this year. Led the Big 12 in sacks. We did not have an all Big 12 on the defense. We took that out against Iowa State. And they felt disrespected on defense, and they really, really showed up. They've showed up this year on defense. And with Florida's defense giving up all those points, and with a Big 12 school that can score like Oklahoma, I expect Oklahoma to win that by 1 score. 1 score. I'll say 1 score just because I think Trask could keep them.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
It's
I
gonna
feel
go
like
back.
the offense, especially after playing so good against Alabama, I think the confidence is up a little bit, and they're going to believe that they actually do belong there. I think it'll be a definitely close game, and I think it'll be a high score. What about you, Garrett? What do you think since you're on the clock in the draft? Oh, dang it, you already picked it.
I'm on the clock twice though.
Dang it.
He's
Oh,
on the
wait.
clock. Okay.
Oh
Go ahead.
no, I'm not. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
How many teams do we have in? Do we,
I took Durant. It was an easy best player left available. So
Oh yeah.
oh, he
That's simple.
makes me so nervous.
Did you see what he did?
Pre-injury.
Did you see what
Oh,
he did
yeah,
in preseason?
pre-injury. I think that he is above LeBron, and I know I'm a LeBron hater, but I would take KD every day, any day before LeBron James if I was starting a franchise before this Achilles. So I don't know. I'm hesitant on that now. I just like KD. I mean, a 7-1 that can handle the ball like he does and shoot like he does. LeBron. I know we're getting off subject here, but LeBron's. I
it's
feel like
unwrapped. It's okay.
yeah, I feel like when LeBron shoots a 3, you're like, it may go. You know, why are you doing this? Oh, hey, it went in. But when KD, like, I don't care where he shoots from, you're thinking it's going in. And I think that plays big. But that's just me.
But on the Oklahoma Florida, I can really see this game coming down to somebody scoring too fast at the end of the game. You know, they get the ball with like 4.5 minutes left and then only use 2 minutes and then score in 2 minutes instead of eating up 3.5 off the clock, something like that, because it's going to be a shootout.
Oh yeah.
I like the Oklahoma by a score pick. I'd probably back that. I'm definitely biased against the horrible way Florida played against LSU. And also with that shoe penalty, I mean, it shouldn't really – I understand it was kind of an outlier or whatever, but that just shows me a little bit of a lack of discipline on the team, and you got to have discipline to win the big games.
I think you're on the clock.
Am I? Oh, yeah, I am on the clock. Holy shit. All right.
I shouldn't have said a word.
All right, we're going to the next game. We got number 8, Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl versus Georgia. This is like a home game for Georgia. This is so unfair. It's like a home game for Georgia. So what do we think? What do we think about Cincinnati versus Georgia? This is where they show that you belong in the college football.
This is where it gets kind of comical. Is I can't go against Georgia being an SEC team, being a Power 5 team, to play Cincinnati, who isn't in a Power 5. But I hope Cincinnati wins, because I want everyone to say, "Oh crap, we made the wrong choice. They should have been in there." But it's the big dogs versus the little dogs, and it's kind of hard to say that. Granted, I don't want OSU in the top 4. Cincinnati should have been there, but Georgia's going to win.
I think Georgia's been very inconsistent this season. I mean, I still can't believe they got ranked ahead of Cincinnati at the end on the last rankings there. I like Cincinnati to pull the quote unquote upset here, because I mean they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. I think they'll come out mad and they'll take care of business, because
I hope so.
I got Cincy as well. I got Cincy, and I guess you could call it an upset. We'll see the spreads probably in the next week or two. We'll see spreads. All right, I got Cincinnati in an upset. We got the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, number 25 Oregon, who are your two-loss Pac-12 champs, versus number 10 Iowa State. Your 3-loss now, Big 12 runner-up. I have Iowa State. I'm sticking home. I'm sticking with Iowa State. I think Breece Hall goes dumb. I really do. I love Kohler. He's a North guy. He played basketball with Trae Young. I love Iowa State. I really do. Of course, I'm Big 12, but
now who's the homer?
I think Bryce Purdy plays a pretty good game. I don't trust Oregon's quarterback at all. He was a little shaky against USC, but I trust Iowa State's defense. I really do. So I'm going Iowa State there. And I love your coach. I love Matt Campbell, by the way.
That's the direction I was going to go. I really like Campbell. He's been doing a really good job there over at State, and I expect Iowa State to win this game. Oregon, I do think that their talent is better than their record, but there is a reason their record is what it is. They've been inconsistent. They failed to show up a couple of times. Even that the USC game, USC was in it right up to the end. They couldn't put it away. And I think I like teams that are coming out with a chip on their shoulder. And I really think Iowa State thought they were going to win the Big 12 and thought they were going to be in that game, and they're going to be playing angry. Oregon won a game that they weren't even supposed to be in.
Washington said, "Here you go. You can play for us."
Yeah, so I like Iowa State there, especially with Campbell, and they're going to have 3 weeks to prepare. I like Iowa State.
So apparently I was on the clock and I didn't know it. Thanks for letting me know, Garrett.
I'm trying to talk, so
I clicked the first name that was there. All right, I'm on the clock now. All right, so far I got Jimmy Butler and Dragic. Let's see here. What should I go now?
What are your options here that you have?
Drummond, Drew Holiday.
Drummond, because he's going to give you 20 and 10 every night.
But he's just a center, only a center. I like getting the doubles. What do you think of
he gets a double-double every night. He averages a double-double every night.
What do you think of Chris Middleton, though?
Drummond's going to put up better numbers. I'm telling you.
All right. Okay. I'm trusting you on this pick.
Okay. He's a 20 and 10 guy on average. Like, that's what he does.
I mean, I know, but I can only play him at center. See, I like to try to draft him where it's like a point guard, shooting guard, or center power forward.
You have a center already in your draft?
Nope, that was just all I've got is Dragic, Butler, and Drummond right now.
Okay, well then you're fine then. You're good.
You're right. You're right. You're
That's
right.
gonna get you 20 and 10. You're all right. I'm you're
Right.
gonna get you 20 and 10. You're all right. I'm sure telling you, you're all right.
You got me right. You got me. Okay.
NBA Fantasy Draft 101 with
I just
Amber
hate-
B. Let's
I mean, Cleveland's going to miss a lot. Let's just be honest.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
They're not gonna win very many games, but Andre Drummond's gonna get his numbers.
Hey,
what
that's
they
all that
guarantee. He did it in Detroit. He was doing it in Cleveland
Yes.
when he got traded. So
But how do you feel about Iowa State? Iowa State, Oregon there, Michael.
Me, I think Iowa State in this. I just think even in the rankings, they've had them so much higher and showing them some love. I do think they jumped a little bit like we talked last week, but I do think that offense is just looks decent, looks good, poise, I guess you would say. And I think Oregon's just got too many flaws that they've been exposed to already. I'll keep it sweet and simple on that one.
all right. Here we go. The next bowl. We got the Capital One Orange Bowl. We got Texas A&M and North Carolina. What do you guys like?
This is a tough one. I'll go first since I am an SEC and Texas A&M is one of the teams that I feel like could possibly be in there. I think this is the game where North Carolina, after a couple of weeks where they've showed that they can score at will, I'm going to go ahead and go with North Carolina as bad as I hate to. I just think they're on fire right now. I'm going to go with them. That's just a gut call on that one.
Okay.
I like Texas A&M. I just other than the Alabama game was kind of an outlier. Other than that, they've just been playing gritty football and doing what they needed to win. I know the Vandy game everybody points to, but they still won. You know, that's what it comes down to. They still won the game, and I think they're going to. And I'm going to keep coming back to this because I think there's a lot of games that this factors into, but the chip on the shoulder deal, because I really think they're sitting there on the outside thinking they should have had that 4 spot, and I don't think they're wrong either. I really think that you could make a better case for A&M being in that 4 spot as opposed to either Notre Dame or Ohio State. So, yeah, come in with a chip on their shoulder, take care of business against North Carolina.
This game will be the battle of teams that A&M didn't really have that many high expectations. You got a 4-year starter quarterback in Kellen Mond. North Carolina came in this year highly ranked. Everybody's talking about how first round quarterback, how. And Kellen Mond declared himself the best quarterback in the SEC. You guys remember that? I know you remember that, Michael. So this game, Kellen Mond against Howe, we're going to see how that works. You got old Mac Brown against Jimbo. Oh, good old Jimbo. And I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's a 1-score game. I'm going to go. This is a toss-up for me. This is the toss-up game. I'm going to go with A&M on a 1-score game because I think they will be angry. And they're going to show, like Cincinnati, they're going to show that we should have been in the look, we just blew out North Carolina. We should have been in the college football playoff. But North Carolina did get blown out by Florida State. So, you know, that could have been the BCS formula right there, guys. And North Carolina wouldn't have been 13. But that's neither here nor there. They beat Miami head-to-head. That's why they're in this game. If they didn't beat Miami, Miami would be in. But they beat Miami, throttled Miami, so they're in this game. But I'm going to go Texas A&M by 1 point. 2 great coaches, 2 pretty good quarterbacks. 2 good running backs. Let's talk about the running backs in this game. 2 pretty good running backs. So I'm going to go A&M. All right, to the big boys. To the big boys, our last 2 predictions. The big boys. We'll go 2-3 first. We'll go 2-3 matchup. Clemson, Ohio State. Who you guys got?
I have Clemson. I don't think Ohio State should be there. I can never see Ohio State. Ohio State will not win this game, just because I have to say that. But I think Ohio State will play balls to the wall in this game because this is their game to prove this is the right choice that they should be there. But I'm going to have to go with Clemson because everything I've ever said on our past 2 shows would be in vain if I didn't.
I like it.
I'm going to go Clemson too. Just what I've seen from Ohio State has given me absolutely no indication that they can beat Clemson. Like none whatsoever. They have not put up any sorts of numbers against any team worth mentioning that makes me think they can beat Clemson.
especially its defense.
Yeah, I mean, I hope for the sake of good football that Ohio State has another gear that they haven't found yet, just because they haven't been pushed and makes this a game. But based on what we've seen so far this year, Ohio State has no chance of beating Clemson.
What about you, Amber?
I'm going no Ohio State. I'm going Clemson. I wasn't going to go Ohio State. I'm going Clemson because, Ohio State hasn't looked good at all. They didn't look good in the Big Ten Championship, and we talked about the show on Tuesday. They haven't looked good all year. How do you all of a sudden find offense? And they got the 5-star receivers. They've got 2 good running backs. Why haven't they looked up to par? Like, I'm trying to really figure that out. Like, what happened for them not to look as good as people thought they would look? Is it the defense? Because their defense did lose a lot of people.
Because they've only played 6 games. They hardly practice. This is not a team.
Okay. All right, Michael. Yep. Okay.
I will second that a little more seriously. But, with the way their season has gone, you've had practices started, you had games to prepare for, and then practice was canceled, and you switch which team you're going to prepare for, and then you come back, and then you don't, and then you practice, and then you don't, and you cancel the season, and then you have the season. And I think there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in college football just in general that we aren't hearing about because everybody's just talking about the games. And I'm going to hype Iowa again because that's the team I follow the closest, so I have the most information on. But after we lost the first 2 games of the season, nobody knows exactly how many because Iowa runs a very tight program. But Coach Kirk did allude to the fact that they missed several practices due to COVID-19 protocols coming into those first 2 games before the season started. If you look at how they played the first 2 games versus the last 6, the lack of practices will make a difference. Mm-hmm. And I think you could attribute a lot of that to a lot of teams out there this year. And I think it's going to be the same thing with Ohio State. They haven't really had a chance to gel as a unit. And that's probably that's part of the reason they shouldn't even be in it. But I think that's also part of the reason they're going to get exposed.
Okay.
All right. Now here's my question for you real quick. Who do you think is going to have the better year? Kelly Oubre or Wiggins?
Oh, shucks. I'm a huge Kelly Oubre fan. I'm just
take Lowry. Come on.
I don't want Kyle Lowry. I got Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, TJ Warren, Kelly Oubre is the top 4. I've already got
TJ Warren to have a better year than all of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I got Butler at my small forward.
Okay, you already got Butler?
Yeah.
Well,
I also got McCollum.
You didn't get CJ yet? Is your shooting guard?
Yeah, I just picked him. I can't believe he's still there.
Okay. Yeah, CJ.
Buckets.
Okay. Yeah, we're going with CJ then. Mm-hmm. He's going to have at least 20, 25 a game. You can count on that.
Yeah.
All right. So
a lot, but
we've all picked Clemson. Now for the game that the Notre Dame and Bama game. I'll just say this without any explanation. I'm picking Alabama. Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure I've said on every show I've been on regarding college football, including 2 streams with this group, an appearance on Amber's show, and an appearance on the Saturday morning show, that no one is going to beat Alabama this year.
I'm going to go with I kind of want to say Notre Dame, people.
Okay.
I really do. But I just want to do it because everyone's going to say Alabama. I want to be the person that picks the other team just because no one does. And then be like, yeah, guys, I totally knew that. I did the math. I used the BCFGRC.
That almost worked for Amber in the Northwestern Ohio State game. Almost.
Yes, it did. But, Notre Dame has really looked good all year other than this Clemson game. I could see Alabama not paying attention to this game. So I'm going to lock it in and say Alabama wins this game.
We thought you had an upset pick there.
No, I can't go that too many times against the SEC team.
So there are going to be no upsets in the college football playoff. We picked our one upset, which we think is going to be Cincinnati over Georgia. Some of us, we all picked.
I said Georgia. I picked
Okay,
Georgia.
you picked me and Garrett picked Cincy, didn't you?
But my heart
Yeah,
wants Cincinnati to win.
Okay, your heart wants Cincinnati win. So
Yeah.
we had some close calls between OU and Florida and A&M in North Carolina. And then we had a game where we have a 2-loss Pac-12 North champ, Pac-12 champ, and then we have a 3-loss runner-up Big 12, a Big 12 North champ. When they used to do divisions, they would have been the Big 12 North. So we picked that game as well. So guys, we picked our games.
Who wins the championship? Because we all got Alabama playing Clemson. Who wins Alabama Clemson?
That's a good question.
No, it ain't.
Okay,
It's Bama, baby.
I have Bama winning the champ. Like I said this on the last stream, nobody's beating Bama, but I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game because Trevor Lawrence has already done it once in a blowout fashion. Nick Saban, old Saint Nick, he probably wants revenge.
Yes.
I'll stick with my pick with Bama. I'm not going to change that pick unless like something crazy with COVID happens.
You guarantee if something COVID happens, they will postpone this thing, or Nick Saban will cure it in 3 days again. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I like Alabama to take it all, and mainly because the toughest team that Clemson has played so far this year is Notre Dame. And the first time they played Notre Dame, their defense couldn't stop them. The second time, they obviously saw something in Notre Dame's offense, and their defense adjusted, and they got the stops. So I don't really think that they have that same thing going on playing Notre Dame cold. Playing Alabama cold.
All right. Shout out to Brent Venables, defensive coordinator. Clemson used to be defensive coordinator at Oklahoma when Oklahoma had that defense. They just couldn't put up the points.
They had defense?
Oh, yeah. They had defense. When Brent Venables was there, then all of a sudden, I don't know what the heck happened. But the offense just ignited and the defense just went. I don't know how that happened, but it happened.
Did you really just get the unicorn? I am so upset at that. I can't believe you waited that or stayed that long.
Who, KP?
Yes, he went 5th round.
Yeah, I just picked him up.
Well, he's hurt right now, right? I don't think he's playing this season. Is he playing? He hurt his knee. He has surgery on his knee.
I mean, you are the one with the basketball show, so like.
What does a red O mean by their name?
He's out.
Out.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
It means.
You should have consulted with me.
Well, I looked at it and I needed a power forward, and I looked at the choices. I'm like, oh, that's easy. It's Porzingis. I didn't realize the O meant out.
What other choices did you have at power forward?
Oh, I gave her. Let's see here.
Robert Covington, Draymond Green.
Yep.
Harrell, Alf Horford, Lamar Aldridge,
Harrell
or Lamarcus.
Yeah. So no, I guess I did not realize that the O meant out. So
yeah, that means he's out. So nobody pick Clay because he's out, guys.
O does not mean off the hook. It means out.
It didn't say injured by his name, so I didn't really worry about it.
Right.
Yeah, the red O means out.
Let's just go ahead and talk, Garrett. If you want to make a trade to help me win, since you have Porzingis, wow, that was horrible. The unicorn, that's fine. I'll give you $20.
All right, we'll figure it out. I told Alex when I signed up for this league that I was basically donating my $20 to the group, but I would play anyway. So
Isn't that sweet? Look at you guys. Look at all the love in the Unwrapped Sports Network.
Well, that was me. They're like, hey, we need 4 more spots. No, it's right out. We need 6 by like 3 days. I'm like, guys, I really don't want to do this, but if you don't have someone to fill in, I'll join for the last spot and just be like, if you need a pizza, there's your pizza. But now that it started, I'm like, let's go.
Now you're excited because you get competitive.
I did like 4 NBA mock drafts to get ready for this too, and
still took the unicorn.
I never caught that Porzingis was out. I don't watch NBA, man. I just don't.
That's okay.
I need you guys to inbox me when these games are happening, so you guys can tell. I can tell you guys who to start and who not to start. Okay, guys.
All right,
there we go. Hey, there's a stream.
There you go. This is important that we're all a family, and I want to help everybody win. You know what I mean? We're a family here. We're a family. All right, guys, that's it for this show. We gave our opinions and our thoughts. If we could have got more people on that were angry in the chat, that would have been great. But people have obligations. It's Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns and the Giants are playing. They're in the first quarter right now. Looks like Colt
Whoa,
McCoy
whoa,
is driving.
whoa, whoa, whoa. The Browns and the Giants. People didn't get on the stream because of the Browns and the Giants game.
No. I'm just saying they're playing right now. The game just started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the Unwrapped Sports Network does a stream after the games. So I wanted to make sure people were able to watch the game and then be able to stream. So it's Sunday. People are probably relaxing. People are probably enjoying their families. But we were able to give you a good conversation, guys. I hope you guys appreciate the conversation, appreciate our thoughts and opinions. And I appreciate both of you for coming on, of course, as always.
I appreciate you appreciating me.
Now that's some appreciation right there. Give you the
I appreciate all y'all. That's all I got. I'm not going to try to string together 8 appreciations into a sentence.
So you're unappreciative. Good.
That's great to know. All right, guys, let's pay some bills. teespring.com/store/unwrapped. Get all your gear there. When I get my unwrapped gear in, I will show it to you guys. I did not make this money from gambling, but if you want to make some money from gambling, they did Bets Unwrapped last night with Alex and Corey. You can check out mybookie.ag, use the code USN100 and double your first deposit up to $1,000. So it's 50 to 1,000.
Am I on the clock?
Michael might be on the clock.
No, Jared Dudley.
Who?
Jared Dudley's trainer.
Oh, okay, about to say you do not draft Jared Dudley. RxHemp.com. Use the code RxHemp/USN to get 10% off your order. I am Amber Vickers. You can follow me on Twitter at simplyme_AV. Of course, I'm a part of the Unwrapped Sports Network. And then I'm going to hand it off to Michael. All my things that I do are in the bio. I'm not going to repeat them all.
It's okay. Go ahead. You can say them all.
No, I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah, I'm positive. I'm going to start doing that from now on, actually.
There you go. Let's see here. Hang on. I've got 1 minute to make a pick. Let's see here. My name is Michael Lawson. As you can maybe see, I'm in a different screen. Hey, Amber, what do you think of Grant at Detroit?
What are your options?
Draymond Green or LaMarcus Aldridge? I'm wanting a power forward.
LaMarcus is going to put up the numbers and stay healthy. I'm a big Jerian Grant fan, though.
See, I am too. I think he's going to have a good year this year.
Okay, we'll go with that. Go with Jerian Grant. LaMarcus always gets the numbers, though, and he stays pretty healthy. And then Draymond has a foot issue. I don't know what's going on. He's not playing Tuesday against the Nets.
I went with Lamar.
You went with LaMarcus? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. My name's Michael Lawson. MD Lawson00 is my Twitter and Instagram. Also YouTube. You can do that as well. I think I'm on Twitch and TikTok, but I don't really tick with the talk that much.
Tick with the talk. I like it.
On Thursdays around 10 p.m. Eastern, me and my boy Connie chats. We have a Backstop Banter show where it's everything baseball. We actually had a great show last Thursday. Hopefully you guys checked it out. We actually had a major minor league pro at the college. I'm sorry, he's actually playing in college. He's got 2 years of college, and he played for Lexington Legends this year. It was actually a wonderful show. You could get some really good stuff with us. We hope to keep building on that. Now, my favorite team is, well, you can't see him. I got him hit with my Kentucky stuff. It's Cincinnati Reds. He actually played with one of my favorite baseball players, Brandon Phillips, who plays with the Lexington Legends. So he actually talked like we might be able to get Brandon on the show, which if we did, I probably won't say a word the whole time. But check her show out. We even got a Twitter out there as well. But Backstop Banter, 10 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, every Thursday night.
And I am Garrett from Iowa. You can find me on Twitter, Sportscaster, and TikTok, all on the same handle. And catch the People's XFL show every Wednesday night, 8 Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. And just hop on my Twitter. I'm on a lot of stuff. I put it all on the Twitter. So thank you all for checking in.
All right, guys, we are signing off. This is for Amber, Michael, and Garrett from the Unwrapped Sports Network. We appreciate all the love and support, and we'll see you guys later.